The three Egyptian gods, Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra, able to strike fear into the cold-hearted of duelists. No one is able to surpass their power. No one can comprehend their strength. Their summoning is alone an omen of doom. Anyone who has these cards is considered unstoppable, for they are truly the strongest cards in all of Duel Monsters. Could have fooled me! The Egyptian god cards, I just can't hide it. They're not very good. In the anime, they are considered to be the strongest cards in the history of Duel Monsters, but in the actual card game, they're anything but. They are mid at best, and outright terrible at worst. Without their support cards, every single one of these cards requires a lot of resources. Heck, Obelisk was seen in a lot of decks with monsters that were easy to sacrifice, aka frog decks, but that's it. That's all Obelisk got. Slifer had it worse because for a long time he didn't have much support. And the worst one of all was Winged Dragon of Ra, simply because Ra is just terrible on his own. You have to sacrifice almost all of your life points just for this guy to have attack. Again, this is all without his support, but with that in mind, is the joke even worth it at that point? With their support, they're much better, but they're still not meta. In fact, they are some of the weakest meta control cards in the entire game. So then, what's with the title of the video? If they so clearly suck, why do I love them? Well, I could give you a really long and complicated answer, but the short one is, they're fun. They're just really fun to play. And I can't think of a better Yu-Gi-Oh card than the Egyptian god cards. They're famous for a reason. There's a reason why when they were added to Duel Links, they were given special summoning animations just for them. I'm gonna go through each one of the Egyptian god cards in quick succession because I don't want this video to drag on for too long. And in exchange, I'm gonna tell you exactly why I love the Egyptian god cards, despite how terrible they are. Egyptian god cards have one very simple gimmick to them. They require 3 tributes despite being level 10s. With that in mind, they are, in fact, some of the weakest cards with this in mind. But that doesn't mean they're not fun. Starting with my least favorite, we have Slifer the Sky Dragon. Slifer has a really cool gimmick where if you place a monster in attack mode against him, he will lower their defense points. He will lower their attack points by 2,000. And then once you do that, you will either destroy them or just leave them very weak. Now, there is an obvious workaround. The obvious workaround being you can just not put it in an attack mode. And most duelists who know the trick will do that. But that doesn't mean that Slifer can't still be fun. Why? Well, put simply, when he works really well. If you have a lot of cards in your hand, you can get a really powerful Slifer. Slifer is the casual monster. If you want some more results, however, you're gonna want to choose Obelisk, my second favorite. Obelisk is strong, and is the only god card that doesn't have a gimmick for its attack and defense points. It's always going to be 4,000. Which is good, but it also allows you to get some consistency out. You also need to use tributes in order to make this guy stronger, but if you do that, then you basically get a Raigeki. His cards are also the definition of win more. Fist of Fate is basically Harpy's Feather Duster plus a negate card all in one. It's insane how strong it is, but it requires you to have Obelisk on the field, so it's not overpowered. Soul Energy Max also does guaranteed damage to your opponent if you have Obelisk. That's, again, very strong, but again, not the best thing ever. The worst thing about Obelisk is, despite his consistency, you still need to get 3 summons out. But then you got my personal favorite, and the reason why I consider the god cards to be so fun. It's the Winged Dragon of Ra. The Winged Dragon of Ra, put simply, has the most support in the game. But he kinda needs it. On his own, Ra was just a stupidly powerful card that required a lot of usage and a lot of setup and a lot of sacrifice in order to even get this guy to do anything. However, even with that in mind, Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra all still have support cards that make them really fun. And Ra has the most. So therefore, Ra has some really fun strategies. One of the best strategies is to sacrifice your opponent's monsters with Sphere Mode. Sphere Mode is considered to be a really strong card, despite the fact that it's attached to the Egyptian gods, and that's simply because you can sacrifice any 3 of your opponent's monsters with no drawbacks. I don't know what Konami was smoking either, but it's still pretty cool. You can also summon him normally, and the Egyptian God Slime is still really fun. My favorite part of the Egyptian God cards, however, is just how awesome they feel. Like, yeah, you can get some cool strategy out of them, but you're not just doing it because they're powerful, or they can be powerful. You're doing it because they're cool. They're awesome. They are the God cards. A part of me wishes we got more God cards with the Divine tag, but another part of me is glad that we didn't, because God cards, it feels exclusive. The whole thing feels exclusive. And I love that. But it doesn't matter. The God cards feel awesome. They are really fun to play in casual matches, as long as your opponent isn't playing a toxic deck. And it allows for some creative strategies. Sorry that this video seems a little offhanded and a little weird. I just had the urge to make a new video and I didn't really have a script in mind for this one, as you can very plainly tell. Also, I've been having some issues with my back. So, yeah, that's been fun. So, sorry for the wait between uploads, but I assure you, even though it might happen again, I will try to make something interesting in the future. Anyway, I hope you like my insane rambling, my unscripted rambling of the Egyptian gods, some of my favorite cards in the game, despite the fact they're not good. And thank you for watching.